Good evening, Terry. Right now, we're just a little bit west of Wellman. You can see a very classic supercell beginning to form here right in extreme northwestern Washington County. You can start seeing some of these wall clouds are beginning to form. We're even starting to see some early indications of rotation in that wall cloud, especially kind of above that leftmost barn. Take a look at the road temperatures right now, 15 degrees. Many areas are in the teens or near 20 degrees. So if we do get that rain to start falling, all that rain will basically freeze on contact, create all sorts of slick problems out there. Right now across eastern Iowa, we have no issues on the road. You can see a few Iowa DOT plows starting to kind of get the pre-treatment going for tomorrow. This is condensating very rapidly, Terry. This is definitely a pretty decent tornado. It's got really quick rotation. You were watching it live right here on CPS2. Trees were getting ripped out of the ground at the base of this tornado. This is very rapid rotation right now, very close to Kelowna. This is northwest of Kelowna. Rebecca, if you haven't already, if you can pass along to the NWS chat that we have a tornado on the ground. We're now in the RFD, the rear flank downdraft of this tornado. Look at that. They got horizontal suction vortices in that. That is a strong tornado right now. We're consistently gusting over 20 miles per hour, times gusting to 30 miles per hour. Our peak gust since we've been here, 44. Similar wind gusts that we had on Tuesday that caused all sorts of blowing and drifting snow. The same winds that caused road closures because of all the snow that's on the ground. A lot of sledders out there kind of enjoying the winter wonderland that we have right now. A little bit of snow that we had over the last couple of days kind of helping give a little bit of those sledders and everything a little bit of fun, assuming they can make it down successfully all the way. If you're a homeowner and you have these fire hydrants by your home, you definitely want to take the time to dig these out just in case of an emergency. The river flood forecast models are really only as good as all the data that goes into them. And to make sure you get a complete picture of all this snow that's on the ground, you really do need a combination of low-tech measurement and high-tech observation. Cedar Rapids has left these HESCO barriers up ever since that major flood crest that we had early on in this spring, and we're going to continue with the flooding risk. That's why they're leaving these up, mainly because the ground is still very saturated. Right now, though, I got to tell you, the environment is getting more and more primed. We got a fairly strong south wind right now, gusting as high as 20 miles per hour at times. And the temperatures right now, upper 70s to near 80 degrees. When looking at the humidity, upper 70s to near 80%, that makes the dew point close to 70 degrees. So it's very moist, unstable out here for sure. And we're already starting to see some towers begin to build up. The early manifestation, if you will, of some thunderstorms that may be starting to kind of increase here in a couple of hours. We had a HESCO barrier breach, and that led to flooding in the downtown area. It just happened in just minutes. The parking lot I'm standing in right now was more reminiscent of a boat ramp. We had fire department boats going out in the water helping to rescue people. People that need to be rescued included those that were in some of the cars that are parked out there in the water. There were actually people in those cars, and the way I was able to tell is because when I showed up on scene, headlights were on and windshield wipers were rolling. Now the water here originates from about 2 blocks down. It pushed up this way after that levee did break, and the flooding happened very, very fast. People I talked to said it happened within about 10 minutes after the levee broke, shortly before 4 o'clock. Now, the fire department, as well as the public works department, worked really, really hard to try and protect some of the businesses, including putting sandbags out in front, HESCO barriers out in front, and they really tried to save some businesses, but unfortunately many went underwater. So the rain continues to fall tonight, and unfortunately that crest not happening until tomorrow. So the water will continue to rise. Right now it's just over that 22-foot mark, and we're expecting that crest tomorrow just inches away from the 1993 record of 22.6. Now, if we kind of walk this way a little bit more, you can see a lot of the homes were struck. The biggest problem, again, pieces of roof. I mean, this is just a person's roof right here, and that piece over here, you can still see the nails are sticking through. So we've kind of plotted this course already, so we know kind of where we're walking. But if you're out in this damaged field, just know you have to worry about things like nails and all that. So you can see over here, the window on this house next door blown out. Thankfully, the roof not quite as damaged, but now that we kind of get a better view, if you can turn back around, CJ, you can kind of see a better picture of the roof damage that was done to Brandon's home there. It's just really, really sad, and I think that's the worst damage we've seen so far. So let's continue walking this way. There's been, again, the tree damage is kind of the biggest concern so far. The railroad crossing right over here, you can actually see one of the warning lights. The warning lights right there is actually knocked down by the winds.
Likely pretty strong to do that. It takes some pretty good winds to do that.
These are common sights all along the southwest side of Cedar Rapids. Massive snow piles, 6 to 7 feet high. All this snow originating from 76th Avenue, which has been cleared. However, 26th Street off to my left here, it has not yet been cleared. We have snow drifts that are about 2 to 3 feet high, completely covering many parts of the roadways. Right now, the countdown clock has started counting on down to a 1:49 a.m. Central Time launch here at the Kennedy Space Center from pad 39A behind me. You can really just feel the excitement starting to build here because this launch has really been such a long time coming.
We're about ready to be a part of something that is truly historic.
American astronauts will be riding American rockets into space again, ending an 8-year drought. But instead of NASA doing the heavy lifting, the space agency is partnering with private companies SpaceX and Boeing in an initiative called the Commercial Crew Program.
We would not be here where we were today if we didn't have SpaceX's ingenuity. The Commercial Crew Program teams endeavor to try to do things a little bit different.
Liftoff.
This was America's last ride into space. The space shuttle was able to ferry 7 astronauts into orbit as well as a lot of cargo. Since it was retired in 2011, the U.S. had to hitch a ride on Russian rockets. And that dependence ends in 2019 when the SpaceX Falcon 9 carries a Dragon 2 capsule up to the International Space Station. It can carry up to 7 astronauts and about 100 pounds of cargo. It'll do it cheaper and allow more research to be done at the space station.
This is called a search coil magnetometer.
The University of Iowa has benefited from private companies and the International Space Station, most recently with the deployment of HaloSat. But future projects are already in the works, including a recent $1 million grant awarded to build space-based instruments that could study Earth's magnetic field.
Because you have all of this energy moving through the system, you can do things like you can disrupt the electrical grid and you can cause blackouts. You can create radiation, which can interfere with satellites that are trying to operate.
Now, the magnetic field research project being done at the University of Iowa called Chimera can also help the humans that are going up aboard the crew capsule up here because it'll help them better understand the radiation that they'll be experiencing. Again, get ready to stay up late, 1:49 a.m. Central Time. Record rain in 2018 slams eastern Iowa. Rivers sent into flood stage later than ever before. According to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, global temperatures from last January through November were 1.4 degrees above normal, making it the 4th warmest year on record. But how are these global trends impacting Iowa?
Of course, as you get warmer temperatures, the atmosphere can hold more moisture, and we're seeing indications of that across the Midwest.
The proof? Precipitable water, a value showing the atmosphere's moisture content and how it has changed over time. Weather balloons launched by the National Weather Service gather this data daily. 92 sites launch these weather balloons in the United States, and Iowa is flanked by 2 of these, one in Davenport, Iowa, and one in Omaha, Nebraska. I looked at 41,774 launches over a period of 52 years from these 2 sites. Trends became quite obvious. In the summer months of June through August, the seasonal average precipitable water has actually changed by just shy of 0.2 of an inch. Overall, that doesn't sound like a large number, but think about an extra 0.2 of rainfall during every rainy day over a 3-month stretch. That can quickly add up. Since 1965, summer rainfall has trended higher in every major eastern Iowa city. Dubuque has seen an increase of more than 3 inches of rain in the summertime. Cedar Rapids more than 2 inches extra. Iowa City more than 1.5 inches with Waterloo just over 1 inch. Higher humidity also has another effect.
We don't seem to have the heat that we used to have back in when I started, say in the 80s and the 70s, that general time frame. A lot of temperatures, 98, 102 degrees, seemed like that was pretty common. It was rare if we went through a summer without at least 100-degree day. Now that's a rare event. It seems if we get 95, that's kind of a big deal.
Weather First Chief Meteorologist Terry Swales has been covering Iowa weather patterns for more than 40 years.
Heavy rain events is something else that I've really noticed too. And that's something that probably is associated with climate change. It also creates these big weather events where we have these extreme rains of 10, 11, or 12 inches in a short period of time.
The season seeing the biggest impact of climate change? Winter. Temperatures are far warmer in winter since 1965, trending as much as 5 degrees warmer in Waterloo and 3 degrees in Cedar Rapids, Iowa City, and Dubuque.
We're seeing higher humidity values, and it's having an impact on temperatures. Now, during the winter, our temperatures are a little bit warmer across the board.
However, a warmer temperature does not mean less snowfall. In fact, it's the opposite. That's because the average temperature is still below the freezing mark. Waterloo has seen a trend of more than a foot of snow increase since 1965. Dubuque has risen on average by 9 inches, with Cedar Rapids and Iowa City both trending higher, close to half a foot of snow.
Potential impacts due to climate change, extreme weather events.
Warmer winters with more snowfall. Slightly cooler summers with more rainfall but much higher heat indices. That's a changing Iowa climate. In Cedar Rapids, I'm Weather First Meteorologist Nick Stewart, CBS 2 News.